Guys, Rich here from the RCNetwork.com, and today I'm upgrading the Axial Yeti. Yes, my Axial Yeti I just ended up running at a U4RC race here in Southern California. It did quite well. I'm very impressed with everything that went into this Axial Yeti build, but once again, time for some upgrades. I want to just kind of button up a couple of things that I saw on the teardown of this vehicle and things that I just wanted to address. Now, with that, I picked up a couple of Axial Racing's official upgrade parts. Now, what a lot of us forget about is Axial Racing actually makes their own upgrade parts, which is pretty nice. And what I really like about these is they keep in mind the original engineering of the vehicle. So not only do they replace stock parts, but they keep in mind the original engineer's perspective on how the vehicle should perform. So picked up a few items here. We're going to go over those things, and then I'll show you in the end how they all turned out on the vehicle. So right here, I picked up the machined 4-link mounts. These go on the bottom side of the vehicle. These are super nice. These are an actual piece of art, so to speak. So these go on the underside of the vehicle and actually hold on to the trailing arms. So pretty nice design, and they actually give you some additional spots where you can mount these things onto your vehicle and some additional link positions as well over the plastic ones. Now, I also picked up the machined shock mount plates. These are on the very upper side. Once again, machined aluminum, has that gold anodization like we saw in the 4-link mounts. And what's so nice about these is they won't bend and flex like the stock plastic ones we found on both the kit and also on the RTR that I have here. So these will be a nice addition, and I'll show you how my plastic ones have bent in the past. And then the last thing I picked up was their steel spur gear. Now this thing is very nice. I picked up the stock tooth count, which is 64 tooth. Of course, it's 32 pitch. And what's nice about this is it does include a bearing. None of the other aftermarket ones do. I did add one onto mine just for longevity of the plastic spur, but steel spur give me a little bit of peace of mind on that U4RC track and a little bit less of grinding of gears, which always comes into play. They also did a good job of lightening this thing up because it is steel. It is a little bit heavier than the plastic, but they did a good job of lightening this thing up. So let me get these things into the rig and we'll see what it looks like in the end. So taking a look at the rig with the body off, we'll take a look at some of those parts I was talking about. Now right here you can kind of see the upper shock mount, and this thing is just kind of concaved itself just from the pressure of the bolt, and of course being a shock there's constant movement and it's just putting due pressure on that plastic part. Now on the 4-link mounts on the underside, what's really nice about the aluminum versions is we'll be able to mount the shocks on the inside position, and there's just some additional mounts as well for the trailing arms. And then lastly with the spur gear, now I've never actually stripped one of Axial's plastic spur gears, but racing U4RC, it's a whole different ball game. Especially when I was out turn marshaling, you can hear gears stripping and grinding and all sorts of crazy stuff. So I want to go ahead and add a steel spur gear from Axial Racing. And of course, whenever you do that, you do have to use the hardened steel spur gears from Robinson Racing, which I've already added on. I believe I have a 17 tooth on there, and that'll be good with that steel spur from Axial Racing. So first up is the 4-link mount. The plastic one comes out pretty easy. You just have 2 screws right here. You have one in the battery tray of the vehicle, and then you just have to remove the trailing arm and the upper link. Once you get that, it'll just basically fall right out of the chassis. Now what you do get on the new aluminum version is you do get that extra link mount. So right here you'll see that there is an extra link mount position here on the interior of the vehicle, so that way you can actually mount the trailing arms on a little bit narrower position right here, just to change up the geometry just slightly. Not a whole lot, but it'll give you that additional mounting point just to test it out and see if it works for your track. Next thing is the upper shock mount, and these are the plastic stock versions, and you can kind of see here it is slightly bent. So it actually uses just these 2 kind of pins to attach it, and then with the 2 shock mount positions, just the cap head screw that goes in there to, or button head screw to affix this to the chassis. With the new aluminum version, you actually get hardware to attach it to the chassis, and then you have those additional mounting points here for the shock. So same mounting positions, but this thing will affix there a lot better and have a much sturdier position for that upper shock mount. So now with the 4 screws you have in that upper shock mount, you have a solid foundation for your shocks. What's really nice is these extra screws you get in the kit, they actually have never been tapped before, so they have a fresh feeling like building a new kit. And you can see right here the difference between just the 2 mounts and now you have 4 screws going in. It's a solid foundation. Now on to the spur gear replacement. I pulled out my entire transmission and transfer case. You don't have to replace the spur gear. I'm doing some other maintenance on my rig right now, but it's as easy as a 7mm nut driver just to pull everything apart. Once you got that, it's just a matter of go ahead and you can reuse your slipper pads if you want to, or you can put on some new ones. Mine are pretty fresh. You just have to be very careful when peeling these away from the stock plastic and then just adding them back onto the new steel version of your spur gear. So this will be a nice little addition to my Yeti and just give me a little bit of peace of mind so I don't strip anything out on the U4RC track. All right, so just wrapped up everything on the Axial Yeti, got the parts installed, and as we can see here, got those upper shock mounts all nice and solid now. Got the lower link mounts here all shiny in the gold anodized aluminum finish, and of course the spur gear is covered by the spur gear cover at this point. Got a lot of work to do still on this rig so I can get it ready for the next race coming up this Saturday. You're probably going to see this video probably after the race, so follow me on Facebook, Instagram. I'll have all sorts of photos and other items about this rig and some of my other rigs like the Bomber on there, so definitely check that out. Well guys, this has been a fun video. It has been fun to see some of Axial's official upgrade parts. They do some great stuff and I think they're great for any rig they make. So well guys, with that is it for now. If you have any comments or questions about this video, please feel free to put it on down below, and as always, thumbs up and subscribe. That's it for now guys, over and out.
Get it back together. Heads out. Stay in place. Disturbing change. Down and go. These guys are getting it. Taking the double, man. Taking fancy. Down mountain comes the wheel. Just sticking, man. It comes straight. And they get straight out. Get in place.